Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming back to the stage your MC, True Pettigrew.
The west side, so I reach for my 40 and I turn it up. Designated driver, take the keys to my truck. Hit the shop cause I'm faded. Honey's in the streets, say money, yo, we made it.
What up, what up, what up, what up? How y'all feeling? Y'all good? How was lunch? Hello? Anybody here? How was lunch? All right. Hey, let's give a round of applause to those that nourished us and served us. Let's give a round of applause to our servers. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. Oh. All right, so how about the breakout sessions? How were the breakout sessions? They were good? Y'all learning anything? Y'all, come on. When I talk to you, I expect a response, man. Y'all learning anything? There we go, there we go. All right, so this is where we are. We are very excited. This is good stuff right here. To announce a new podcast partnership launching today. Infactor is a podcast designed in the style of How I Built This by Guy Raz. Rebecca White, a successful entrepreneur, longtime educator, and the director of the John P. Loth Entrepreneurship Center at the University of Tampa, is the host of the show. Way to go, Rebecca. Now, Dr. White is taking her classroom to podcast format, interviewing people who have successfully applied an entrepreneurial mindset to their life and vocation. The podcast is sponsored by the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization and the University of Tampa Loth Entrepreneurship Center. Today, 5 episodes will be released. Kevin Harrington, one of the original sharks on the hit TV show Shark Tank, and founder of As Seen on TV, New York Times bestselling author of The Medici Effect and The Click Moment. Franz Johansson, J.B. Bernstein, successful entrepreneur, featured in the Disney movie $1 Million Arm, and 2 young entrepreneurs who have launched amazing businesses, Desiree Noisette and John Aragon, who are so excited about the partnership that we have partnered on a competition with them. So this is good stuff. Round of applause for that. Come on. Now, the winner will receive a Google Home, and the runners-up will receive Google Minis. Not only are these devices great speakers for music, but you can also use them to control your lights, your AC system, and pretty much anything else you can think of. All right, all you have to do is follow the Infactor on Instagram. Following that page will count as 1 entry into the giveaway. Man, where's my phone? I'm going to follow that right now. If you share the first post, if you share their first post, either on your story or on your feed, you'll get 3 entries. Wow, I'm going to win this, y'all. Y'all might as well stop where you are right now. You can also get 1 entry for liking the Facebook page and 3 entries for sharing your first post. To recap, if you do all of these things, you can get up to 8 entries, and you can find more details on this giveaway both on the Facebook page and the Instagram at Infactor Podcast. That is ENFACTOR Podcast. And they'll be available by DM on both accounts for any questions that you might have. And the winners will be chosen through a randomizer and announced tomorrow by Dr. White herself during the luncheon. So I wish you all the best. I don't really mean it because I plan to win, but I think I have to say that because it's written right here. I wish you all the best. All right. Now, just as a start, every 2 weeks, new shows will be released, and they'll be hosting Twitter talks so that you can have a conversation with the guests and Dr. White. So look for more from CEO HQ on this. All right, so that's pretty cool. Now, also, this evening, we're going to announce the winners of the chapter awards and individual awards programs. So as a note of mention, last year, we only had 9 of the 100 universities in this audience submit applications to participate in our chapter awards program. What? 9 out of 100. Come on, y'all, step your game up, please. This is an opportunity for you to gain recognition among your peers and fund your organization. So we're excited to announce that 23 universities have submitted applications for the awards program. Awesome. We are very excited to hear that. That is awesome. So we would love for more and more chapters to apply for this prestigious program. So please, please apply. Now, I think you all may have received some items at your tables. So you should have received a card that says 20.19. So that is a $20.19 annual tax deduction donation card. And that will help empower CEO to further develop programming like this for our students. You can choose to donate other amounts if you like, of greater or lesser value. And you can choose to have your donation processed in full or in increments. So for just $1.68 a month, you can make a noticeable impact. Now, we did the math, and if just 50%, that's half, just 50% of our conference attendees today donate $20.19, it will result in a combined donation of, who thinks they know the number? Who thinks they know how much? How much? Anybody else? Huh? Who's good at math? Well, $10,500. All right, and that is strength in numbers right there. CEO does all of this on a shoestring budget, so your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. So once you've completed your cards, please turn them in to the conference registration desk or the CEO HQ desk. All right, now right in the center of your table is a sign-up slip where you can register to receive the Penny Hoarder's daily newsletter completely free of charge. Look at that. Go ahead, man. That's all right. That's a good man right there. Free of charge. The newsletter includes all sorts of tips and tricks to make and save or manage money. Make money, save money, and manage money. This is going to be a good conversation. You're an expert on all three of these things? I need to talk to you, man, because I make a lot of money, but I spend it a lot, so I need to learn how to save my money. So if you sign up today, you'll be entered to win one of 10 Penny Hoarder skateboards available exclusively at the CEO conference, and winners will be selected and announced this evening. Man, you guys are getting a lot of nice perks for being here. So now what I want to do now is introduce to you two key players in the city of Tampa's entrepreneurial ecosystem. These two organizations help to support the efforts of new business development and entrepreneurs alike. We are excited to have them with us today, as well as their team members. So first, we have the CEO of Embark Collective. Embark helps Tampa Bay startup talent build bold, scalable, and thriving companies. The CEO has a long-time history of serving the entrepreneurial community and having served in roles at Profit in 1871 prior to her move to Tampa and appointment as CEO at Embark. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage, and let her hear it, like give us some energy, let her feel welcome. Welcome to the stage, Lakshmi Shanor.
Hi, everyone. I feel like I have my people here, all my fellow entrepreneurs. I'm so excited for you to be in Tampa, my new hometown. Anybody here from the Midwest? All right. Well, I am a Midwesterner at my core. I moved down from Chicago to Tampa in 2018. And prior to coming down to Tampa, I was at an organization called 1871 in Chicago, a really big startup hub serving 500 early stage companies and is home to Future Founders, a great organization that I know does a lot of work with people in this room. So I got this amazing opportunity to come down here to Tampa to help the startup ecosystem that exists here. And it is thriving. It's growing, it's thriving. But as we all know, as being entrepreneurs, we need community, we need like-minded, driven, focused people around us to keep us moving forward towards our goals. And that's really what Embark Collective is about. Embark Collective is a physical hub that is in downtown Tampa. We are under construction. We have about 4 more weeks left of construction on our site, so I'm very excited for that space to open. That's a 32,000 square foot facility for Tampa Bay's startup entrepreneurs, and it's a place for them to find each other. And in addition, they have access to this tremendous amount of programming, similar to what you experience as a university student. But imagine once you take that university access out of the equation, what do you have to rely on? And for people who no longer have that type of access, Embark Collective is really there for them, providing very customized support provided by my team. I have a team of about 12 ex-startup operators who support companies on a daily, somewhat hourly basis. We know that building a company is a full-time thing, requires all of our mental space, and my team serves as an extended member of the teams that we support. We're supporting about 40 early stage companies now, and I'm excited for that to grow further as this community grows. So I want you to know that, as you come back to Tampa, whether it's through CEO or following graduation, know that you have a home at Embark Collective. Know that all around the world, there are communities of entrepreneurs that you should leverage as you continue to build companies, because being an entrepreneur is lonely and it's difficult. It honestly is the most difficult thing I've ever done, and I'm building an organization while supporting other people build an organization, so it's really meta for me. But I want you to always think about leveraging the resources that are there, because they are there to ensure that you can move forward and achieve the goals that you set forth for yourself and solve the world's largest problems that we all face. I mean, Embark Collective's mission is to help startup talent build bold, scalable, thriving companies. And we were very purposeful in choosing bold, scalable, and thriving, because those are the problems worth solving, or those are the solutions that are worth creating for the world's biggest problems. So I look forward to having you come back to Tampa. I hope you enjoy your time here, and we'll see you at Embark Collective very soon. Thank you.
Bold, scalable, and thriving. Thank you, Lakshmi. And I believe a lot of our student entrepreneurs here today can be a great fit for the amazing work that we are sure to see take place from Embark. Thank you again. So now I would like to introduce to you the Senior Vice President of Business Development at the Tampa Bay Economic Development Council. And in his role, he is responsible for directing the EDC's domestic and international business recruitment strategies and business retention expansion programs. He works every day to showcase the Tampa Bay region as a great place to work and live to site selectors, CEOs, other decision makers, as well as CEOs, other decision makers. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Steve Morey.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Okay, nobody warned me that I had to follow Lakshmi on this, so that is completely unfair. We are glad to have her here in Tampa Bay, and as part of the things that are going on. As was mentioned, my organization, the Tampa Bay Economic Development Council, we are charged with recruiting entrepreneurs, companies just as yourself to Tampa to stay here. We're also in charge of the ones that we have here to keep them here. So on behalf of our organization and the business community of Tampa, I thank you very much for being here, and I welcome you. So I also thank you, and James, appreciate the invite to talk for a few minutes today, because I was in the middle of doing performance reviews for my team. So if anybody out there is working on building a new and better tool for doing performance reviews, I'll be your first customer, because it's not good out there right now. So it's an honor to have the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization headquartered right here at the University of Tampa. It's our pleasure to annually welcome this event, and I'm proud of each of you and where you're at, but I'm also a little bit jealous. And I'm glad that you've made this commitment at an early stage to explore entrepreneurship. And if my table of my new friends from Milwaukee and Brazil are representative of this entire room, I am very excited about the future of business and the future of this country, because I'm very impressed. The third and arguably most important pillar of economic development, what I deal with, is growing your own companies. We appreciate and understand how impactful entrepreneurs like yourself are, not only to Tampa Bay, but to communities across the country. So we appreciate that hard work. We appreciate your commitment to innovation. And this is an exciting time in Tampa. And Lakshmi mentioned the Embark Collective and where they're going to be located, but they're going to be located pretty nearby here. And if you've noticed a lot of construction around you, that construction is the new Water Street Tampa district. It is one of the largest developments taking place in the entire country. It's going to be 9 million square feet of new commercial, residential, hospitality, entertainment, cultural, retail, and educational spaces. It'll be for the first wellness district in the country. If you walk north just a couple of miles up the Riverwalk, and I hope you've seen the Riverwalk while you're here, you'll get to the Heights, where you can enjoy one of the greatest and newest food halls in the country and see the construction of a brand new office building that's going to be the headquarters of a new life science company called Oxygen. If you look on the horizon to the west, you'll see the development that is Midtown, which is halfway between downtown and the West Shore office district. That's going to house new retail, residential, and office opportunities. So if you're not familiar with Tampa, I can give you a little bit of an insight into why all this growth is happening. According to Zillow, Tampa is the #1 market for first-time home buyers. Business.org ranks Tampa as the #1 best city for women to start a business. The Independent has called Tampa one of the world's 10 best waterfront districts. Business Insider named Tampa one of the hippest cities in the world in 2018. Smart Asset says that we are one of the 10 best cities to work in tech. And for you foodies out there, Food and Wine magazine named Tampa number 11 on top 20 places to go and eat this year in 2019. And most relevant for all of you in the room, Inc. magazine named us a best place for entrepreneurs. So I hope that while you're here, you get to experience some of the reasons why this is such a great place to be now and in the future. There's a buzz and an energy in this region like never before, and the sky is the limit for us. And for those of you participating in the pitch competitions, I wish you the best of luck. For all of you, both local and from out of town, I thank you for supporting this great organization and for taking the time and effort to be here and experience this great conference and exciting city. And I'll leave you with this. When all of you are successful and have built companies to great heights, because I have faith that all of you will, you remember your great experience here and contemplate, why not Tampa? I'm easy to reach and will be glad to work with you to make Tampa your home. Good luck, thank you, and have a great conference.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. Thank you for that. Now we are to the point where we're going to hear from our lunch keynote speaker, a young man that I've gotten to know quite a bit over the last couple of days, and so I think we're in for a treat. So I have the pleasure of introducing Kyle Taylor, the founder and CEO of Taylor Media and the Penny Hoarder. Kyle is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and the founder and CEO of the Penny Hoarder. Now, under Kyle's leadership, the Penny Hoarder was named one of the fastest growing private media companies in America by Inc. 500 5000 3 years in a row. The website has helped millions of people transform their finances by providing editorial and video programming with the sole purpose of helping people stress less about money. The Penny Hoarder has remained self-funded and profitable since its inception in 2010. With a focus on journalism and creative storytelling combined with innovative revenue generation that puts the audience first, Kyle and his team are revolutionizing the digital media model. Before founding the Penny Hoarder, Kyle spent 6 years on the road as a campaign worker, crafting messages, directing field strategy, and raising millions of dollars for important causes. Good man, Kyle. A proud resident of St. Petersburg, Florida, Kyle is active in his local community. He supports a number of local groups and initiatives and speaks nationally about entrepreneurship, alternative career paths, and mission-based work. Ladies and gentlemen, it is truly my pleasure to welcome to the stage the founder and CEO of Taylor Media and the Penny Hoarder. Please give him a warm round of applause, Mr. Kyle Taylor. All right, please, sir, have a
Thank
seat.
you
Let's
very
have
much.
a conversation.
Thank you.
Let's have a conversation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me.
So, Kyle, this is a fireside chat, but I forgot to bring the fire, so my apologies. So you guys will have to use your imaginations here. So, Kyle, I like to start off by getting to know the person, and I think we'll get into what you do, and we've talked a little bit about what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are? Like, what's your story? Who are you? Who is Kyle Taylor?
So I grew up not too far from here in Bradenton, Florida. A single mom, 2 sisters, and my mom worked really hard growing up. She worked 3 jobs. So in the morning, I'd see her before I went to school. She'd put on a pair of scrubs, and she'd go to to work at a local doctor's office. And then she'd come home, and we'd see her for dinner, and she'd put on her next uniform, and she would go do inventory at stores, retail stores at night. And then on the weekend, as a family, we would mystery shop together. We would go to bars and restaurants, and not bars, not at that age, restaurants and retail stores, and pose as undercover shoppers. And so I grew up watching somebody work really hard to take care of a family. And that is something that still drives me to get to this day. And it got me interested in politics at a young age. I thought to myself, raising a family should be hard, but it shouldn't be quite that hard. And so it inspired me to get involved in politics. If you and I were friends in high school, which we probably wouldn't have been because I didn't have a lot of friends,
I would have been your friend.
we'd be talking about Medicare.
I would not have been your friend, Kyle.
That's the kind of thing that I cared about then and still care about to this day.
Wow, so passion is something that comes through when I hear that, but also work ethic. So you're the CEO, and a lot of these young people here today as aspiring entrepreneurs, they will be placed in the position of being founders and CEOs of their own business. How important are those 2 attributes that you just talked about, the other being work ethic that it seems like you learned from your mom? How important are passion and work ethic, in your experience, to be becoming a successful CEO?
Well, I think there's only really 3 things that you need, only 3. One is hard work. Being a CEO or an entrepreneur is a full-time job times 3 some days. Passion, and it's more than passion though, it's about doing something that really means something to you, that when you've been up all night dealing with something at work, you don't mind getting up again at 5 a.m. to do it all over again because you know you're part of something. And then 3 is grit. Being able to get through that hard stuff. True and I were talking right before we came on stage that one of my servers is having a little trouble right now, and so my team and I are texting back and forth, and it's the kind of thing that can really take a lot out of you, and it's daily, sometimes it's hourly, and so being able to have the grit to just keep on pushing through that, I think is what makes a good entrepreneur.
Talk a little more about that, because we've had some conversation about this in phone calls and earlier today, what it's really like to be an entrepreneur and or CEO, and how do you, they're linked, but they're very distinct, right? And so how do you distinguish between the two? And if you could, talk about what it's, the things people don't talk about. I think we see all the glitz and glamour, not necessarily from entrepreneurship. We know it's hard work. But talk to us a little bit about your journey and the things that people don't talk about.
Well, I am very much an accidental entrepreneur. You all have a leg up. You know what you want to do. You are committed to it. But I thought I was going to be in politics. So this website, the Penny Hoarder, was a side gig for me. It wasn't meant to be a business. It was something that I did on my own. I was a pseudonym that I would write under. And I wrote it for many years on my own. And then as it started to take off, I said, maybe I should turn this into a business. But I procrastinated on it because I was really quite terrified. And when I finally made the decision, I did all the things that I thought would be really fun about being an entrepreneur. I picked out swag. I looked for office furniture. I thought about, what kind of Christmas party we might have.
All the fun stuff.
And I procrastinated for a long time until I finally had a staff here in St. Petersburg. And in the first month, I thought, we're gonna work on making really quality journalism. I'm going to spend my days thinking about how to bring in more revenue for this company. But you know what I spent the first week doing?
What's that?
Getting rid of termites in the office. I didn't realize that was part of being a CEO. No one told me that. Termites were in the office. We had IT trouble. 3 weeks into founding this new company and bringing 12 people on board, my biggest advertiser left. The day-to-day was nothing like what I expected. And in fact, as the company has gotten bigger, what I've realized is that my role, number one, is to create a good culture so that I can bring folks in that can handle a lot of those things and I can trust them. And then two, it's really more of a finance role after that. That is a good bit of the time, is thinking about where to use resources to help grow the company. Not what I expected at all.
Got you. You hear a lot of this term in entrepreneurship about working in your business and working on your business. Mm-hmm. How do you distinguish between the two for the members in our audience? Because in the beginning, you were working in your business. And it sounds like that was a necessity. Mm-hmm. How do you distinguish between working in your business and on your business? And when do you know it's time to make that transition from in to on?
Yeah, well, so working in your business is doing all the day-to-day things to get your products or services to your customers. So that might look like getting your daily email newsletter out, or taking orders or online, whatever it might be. Working on your business is thinking about what are the big strategic things that I need to do to make an impact? What are the big things that I need to do to keep driving this business forward? And I'll tell you, I am not to the point where I can say I spend all of my time working on my business. Okay. And I don't know that ever fully goes away. I have a fantastically talented team that handles most of the day-to-day. But I think one of the things that's important to me as a leader is that I really understand the challenges that the team has on a day-to-day basis. And so I never want to pull myself completely out of it, right, because I think it makes me a better leader.
I went to your website, and everybody looks so happy. And you mentioned earlier about creating a culture where people could thrive. So how do you go about creating that culture? And is it the responsibility as the CEO to create that culture?
Yeah, it's your chief responsibility, and I wish I knew this sooner, because when I first started my company, I thought culture was about making sure that we had, the best ping pong table, and that, that I had the best drinks in the fridge, there was going to be coconut water. That's a good culture.
Right, right.
And what I've come to find out is, while those are lovely things to have, the things that really matter are the values that you have as a company. And so now I mentioned this a minute ago, I think about that as my most important job. I am Chief Culture Officer. How can I make an organization that lives and breathes its daily values?
Right, right. So you're successful, right? How did you know, or when did you know? What can you pinpoint a moment when you woke up one day and looked around at what you had created and said, wow, I'm successful?
Today.
Being asked to come and speak as CEO, right? It's like, yes, I've made it.
No, because I still don't think like that. I'm still on the path to success. And I don't know that I'll ever think like that, because the mission I have at my company is to make sure that people can have the information and tools they need to make smart money decisions. And we got a ways to go. We got a long ways to go. And so this is a lifelong mission, a lifelong purpose for me. And I don't know that I'll ever feel like I've fully accomplished it.
Well, what are some criteria, if you will, or some measures that you use to determine success beyond profit? I think the profit is easy, right? The margins, the numbers. I think that's an easy thing to measure to determine success. What are some things beyond the finances that you use to determine or measure your success?
So we survey the folks that come to our site pretty regularly, because we want to know if the things that we're telling you are helping you actually make, save, and manage money. And then we also look at our partners' data to be able to find out whether our finances are improving. So I'll give you an example. This year, with one of our banking partners, we helped 200,000 people move to fee-free banking. The average American spends about $300 a year on bank fees, and so that's 200,000 people that got $300 back in their pocket every single year. Those are the kinds of things that I measure to know whether I'm actually making progress on my mission.
Got you. Is that one of the things you mentioned earlier about the things that get you up in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning? These are the things that get you up in the morning. And you often hear about things that keep you up at night as an entrepreneur or a CEO. These are the things that keep you up at night. I love the way you positioned it about the things that get you up in the morning. What are some of those things that keep you, because it's tough. I mean, you're dealing with a crisis right now. You were getting rid of termites in the first week. And I mean, like, what keeps you going? Because most people might quit if they have to run up against some of the challenges that you've run up against.
Yeah, I think if you take a second and think back in your life at something, the thing that was the most challenging to get past. It doesn't matter where you came from. Everybody has a moment in their life where this is a sentiment moment that was really difficult to get past. For me, it was towards the end of my campaign life. I was working on campaigns all over the country, but out of a job half the year because campaigning doesn't last all the time. And I was doing the silly things you do at 21 when you get your first credit card. I was charging it up, and I found myself with $50,000 in student loan and credit card debt. And I was really embarrassed by it. Like, I have one of those best friends. Does anyone have a best friend that you tell like everything to? Yes. I have one of those friends. We talk 3 times a day. Like, she'll call me from the bathroom. Like, it's not appropriate, right?
Right.
And that was the one thing I couldn't tell her. I couldn't tell her that I had $50,000 in student loan credit card debt. I couldn't tell her that I was turning my phone over because those were collectors calling. I couldn't tell her that I had to hide my car because I was afraid it was going to be repossessed that weekend. Those are the kinds of things that we just don't talk about with money. And it got so bad for me that I found myself in a situation where I was 3 weeks away from another paycheck, and I ran out of money. And I took to sneaking into hotels like this one and taking a banana from the continental breakfast.
Did you actually sneak into this one?
No comment. and so it was a low moment.
Security?
It was a really low moment for me where I just felt like I had failed. And it's also the moment, though, that I started writing under the pseudonym, the Penny Hoarder, about what I was doing to get out of debt. It was my release. And so now back to your question, when I have those days where there's termites or when the servers are down, and no matter how many walls feel like are crashing on me, I think back to that day. And I think, you know what? That was way harder than this. And I think if you do that too, if you think back to your hard moment, you got past it. It got easier. That gives me the strength to be able to get up and go deal with all those issues again that day.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. That was for being so transparent and vulnerable, because I think that's important for our audience to hear those moments, those stories, because we all go through them, right? And so I think thank you for sharing that. I'm going to open the floor up in a second. I'm going to ask you one last question, then I'm going to open the questions up to the floor. So it'll be a two-part question.
Okay.
What do you like most about being an entrepreneur, and what do you find most challenging about being an entrepreneur? And then start getting your questions ready, because after Kyle answers those questions, then it's your turn. And no layups. Make them difficult questions, like hit them where it hurts.
All right, so my favorite part about being a CEO, my favorite part about being an entrepreneur, every single day is different. Every single day is different. I worked at a supermarket here in Tampa Bay for a few years growing up, and it was a great job, but every single day I knew what I was doing. I was typing in my code into my cash register, and then I was doing this for 5 hours. And as much as I love this job, what I love is that I don't know what I'm going to expect when I walk in the morning. Something's going to happen that's going to keep me on my toes. It's going to wake me up.
Like today.
Like today. And I think the thing that's most challenging about this role, I don't know what to expect today. I mean, there could be something going on right now that I don't know about.
Right.
And that can be stressful, that can be nerve-wracking. And I know it's strange to say that that's both my favorite and most challenging part, but I want a challenging job. And I think all the people in this room want challenging jobs too. We want to have our brains work every day.
Right.
And this is definitely a job where that happens.
All right, thank you for that.
Okay.
So now, if you're okay, we want to take some questions
Yes.
from our audience. So I believe there are microphones floating around out there somewhere. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
All right, so I know it's hard to see out there with this light. Okay, we have a question over
Hey,
here.
my name's Josh Grabo. I go to UW Milwaukee. So my question to you is, you said that point in your life was the hardest day in your life.
Yeah.
Okay. And if tomorrow was that day that was harder than that day, what would you do? Like, if you couldn't rely on the past, how do you think you'd move forward? And how would you recommend, if that happens to us, we move forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what if tomorrow is an even harder day? I've had some other harder days. And I'll tell you, I had a really hard day about 8 months ago when I made a decision that no CEO ever wants to make, when I had to let go 45 people in one day. That is a moment that changes you. And it is one of the most challenging things that I've ever had to do in life. But I come at it from a couple of angles. One, knowing that this is a moment in time, and that, similar to my first answer, if I think back to all the other challenging things that we've gotten through in the past, I know we can get past this again. And second is to not focus just on yourself. I think it's really easy in those moments to be thinking about, man, this is really hard on me. But instead, how can I serve the people around me? And by transitioning the way you think about that during a crisis, not only is it better for you, but it ends up being better for your team in the long run.
Thank you for that. Great question, and I love your response to that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm
Where are
Nathaniel from Rowan in New Jersey. So you talked a lot about perseverance.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, did you have anyone to thank for teaching you the meaning of perseverance?
Yeah, definitely my mom. My mom is a warrior, I tell you. I told you about how many jobs that she worked growing up. But what was so special about it is my mom never complained about our situation. My mom never said to us, man, we've really been dealt a bad hand this year. My mom just said, let's work together and we'll be able to get through this. And I'll give you a quick little story. One year we were having a really challenging year with finances. And so my mom made charts and my sisters and I would take turns going out to the electric and water meter every day and writing down how much usage we had from the day before. And not only was it a way for us to try to get 50 or 60 bucks off our electric bill, but it became like a game. Right. We started challenging each other to do better the next day. We started coming up with creative ways to save on electricity. And I always admired my mom for that. What a fantastic attitude to have.
No, absolutely. It's perspective, right? It's really all about perspective. No, I love that. Any other questions? We have one right over here to my right.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Lloyd Sloan from Eastern Washington University. You mentioned values and how important it is that you have a company culture of positive values. What was it like, and if you can give it a specific example of a specific value, to give those values and make sure those values existed for the first few people you added on to your team?
Yeah, it's a really quick question. So I don't think there's a certain set of values that every company should have. It really is an individual decision based on what you're trying to achieve. And values can change too. My company has changed our values over the years. One that has stayed true for us though is to create a really respectful workplace. And you know, I always say companies make values, they always get spray painted on a wall somewhere. But that's not really what it's about. It's about how does it come across in day-to-day decisions. And one of the best ways you can put that into action is as leaders, when you're talking to a group of peers or when you're leading a meeting, is to not focus on how you can get across your opinion, but how can you make sure everybody else is at the table has had their opinion expressed and understood and heard. And that is a value that has stayed true for us since the beginning, and I think it's one of the things that's been most important to our success.
Thank you. I know I see some hands over here. Is the microphone over there?
Okay, so my name's Spencer Ramirez. No, I'm not from Texas. But so with the 27 employees that I have now, I'm huge on setting goals and just making those goals tangible and putting them on paper or like a document, just something to make them like a tangible thing. How important do you think it is to make your goals tangible and just like write them down or put them somewhere so you have like a destination to accomplish that?
Yeah, good question. I like the hat, by the way.
Thank you.
So the question is about goals. How important is it to make them attainable? So I'm a fan of making BHAG goals. Has anyone ever heard that before? Big, hairy-ass, audacious goals. I think that most often what we end up doing is putting limits on ourselves. I know I did it for a really long time. I remember the first time my company made $5,000 in a month, and I thought, you know what? If I could just do this every single month, that would be fantastic, and it would be fantastic. And it took me a few months to realize, man, that was a limit I was placing on myself. We are capable of way more than we give ourselves credit for. And so I say make your goals bigger. Whatever you wrote down on your piece of paper, double them.
Thank you for that. I have never heard of BHAD, but I will have to incorporate that into my repertoire. Yes. I see a hand. I'm not. Oh, here we go. Straight ahead. Nope, right over here.
Oh, hi. My name is Sabita, and I'm from New York, Iona College. So you mentioned your team and how you trust them with day-to-day operations. How did you go about choosing your team and what roles that were needed to make your company successful, and how you were able to determine that with this being a side hustle and a kind of a mistake for you.
That's a really good question. So how did I go about finding the folks that work for our company? So when I was first thinking about who should I hire as my first employee, I talked to a lot of other entrepreneurs, and some people go about this in the way that they try to take the things off their desks that they don't enjoy doing, or the things that they think would give them the most time back in the day. And there's nothing wrong with that approach at all. But I took another approach, which was to bring in somebody who had a lot more experience than I did. I mean, I started my company at 25 years old, and the idea of, our mission, our goal at the time was to take on outlets like CNBC and Yahoo Finance, and I knew I needed somebody who knew what they were doing. So I looked for an executive at that point. One of my favorite techniques for hiring, because it can be really challenging from a single interview to figure out whether you should hire somebody. There's two ways you can do it. One, let your team interview this person. Get the opinions of your staff because they're going to know best what the role might require. And then second is there a way to start working with this person on a temporary basis? So in the case of the first executive I hired, she owned a business that created content. And so we started working together in that way. And about a year later, I said, hey, can I buy your company and will you come work for me? And to my surprise, she said yes, and she moved down to Florida, and that was it. But I wouldn't have been able to put that much trust in somebody for a first hire without having some experience working with them before.
You seem to have a very inclusive approach with your team, and it sounds like that's very empowering. How important do you think your spirit of inclusivity has been in creating the right culture?
Oh, it's hugely important. I think if you have a company of people who talk like you, who look like you, who say yes sir to you, then you're going to end up getting the same ideas. And for us as a media company, we're trying to serve a really wide audience of people. We have to think differently. We need people with different opinions. We need people with different backgrounds. So it is the heart of what we do.
Thank you for that. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Hello.
Hi.
Right here.
Oh, sorry.
To your right.
Where are we?
We can't see you.
Right here.
Okay.
Do you see? I don't see.
To your right.
Oh, hi.
Oh, there we are.
Hello, I'm Jameli, representing University of Tampa as a local. My question for you is, as being a local in Tampa, how do you have the community support you? How do you have Tampa support your business when you were starting?
Really good question. So my business is in St. Petersburg. And when I first started, I had a number of organizations reach out. I had the St. Pete Economic Development Corporation, I had the Chamber of Commerce, I had other entrepreneurs. And every time somebody would reach out, I would say, sorry, I don't really have time. I have termites, I'm trying to hire people, my servers are down. And I kept saying no to all that help. And finally, another entrepreneur in town, he said, what are you doing? He said, who do you think's going to help you with the termites and hiring people and finding new office space and the servers? You need the support of the community. And it was a real wake-up call to me that as entrepreneurs, we have to be engaged in the communities where we reside and operate our business. And so now I try to be as active as possible, and particularly by helping other startups in town. St. Pete is a good, and Tampa is both wonderful places for that. This town cares. We know when one startup succeeds, we all succeed. I've had startup CEOs call me to see if I have extra furniture. I've called them for help recruiting. That is just what is so wonderful about this city.
And I think, yes, right here.
Yeah, I really want you to answer this question.
I know you've been waiting for like 13
Thank you for being
minutes.
patient.
Yeah, I know, right?
My name is DK Cardi from Texas State University. And based on your background, it seems like you really enjoy helping people. So my question is, what do you think the importance of altruism or giving back has on being successful?
Well, as I mentioned at the top, I think running a business that feeds a core purpose for you is absolutely tantamount to success. But it doesn't always have to be quite as I've described it. So let's say your business is, you're a cell phone company and you want to give cell phone plans out. You can still be a very purposeful, driven company that thinks about how can I provide the best services at the best rate for my customers? How can I make sure that what I'm providing makes their lives a little bit easier, that they have reception in an emergency, that they have flexibility with their billing so that if they're having a hard month, they can figure out a way to pay for it. That we're giving back to communities that might be underserved or can't afford our services because we know it's the right thing to do and they might be customers later on. It doesn't matter what it is that you sell or do. You can still have a very purpose-driven approach with it. And I think it is the core of just about any company that's successful.
Do you think most businesses that are rooted in purpose tend to be more successful than those that are not?
I absolutely do. Yeah.
Okay. All right, last question. I don't know if the microphone is still out there anywhere.
One in the very back, I see.
Hi, my name is Shannon Lawson. I'm a student at Xavier University of Louisiana, and you spoke about how having difficult money conversations is something that a lot of people struggle with. And so now I want to know, in the beginning phases of your business, how did you get people to realize that they needed financial information and actually be receptive to the journalism that the Penny Hoarder provides?
Yeah, really good question. So money is one of those issues that we too often either don't talk about or we talk about with real judgment. And so in the beginning, the way that I worked to overcome that was to be just as transparent as I possibly could with my readers. I didn't go to school for finance. I am not a certified financial planner, but I will tell you what I'm going through, and I will tell you what's worked for me and other readers. And by sharing that from the very beginning, I think it really helped us build trust with folks. And that's true for whatever business you have, is don't try to hide the things you don't want your readers or customers or whoever it might be to know. They're going to figure it out. So if you're the one to tell them, it's a way to build trust and community with those folks.
Yep, so thank you so much. And what I took away from that, and I think this can apply to everyone, as you just said, I hear a process that I view as the heart, the hurt, and then the help. So being honest and open, right? And then being willing to be transparent, sharing your hurts, but don't stop there. But sharing how you can then help others is by sharing how you were able to overcome that hurt. So it starts in the heart. And as I hear you talk a lot about purpose and inclusion, then it goes to a willingness to be vulnerable and transparent with your own challenges, your hurt. And that is what positions you to give the best help that you can possibly give. So one last thing, if you could give one piece of advice to all of these current and aspiring entrepreneurs who one day look to sit where you're sitting, one piece of advice in closing, what would you share?
I think that the thing that holds most of us back from building our businesses to be what they want to be is fear. And I know I feel it every day. I thought to myself, when I lost my biggest advertiser and Johnny didn't like Sally, Sally didn't like Johnny, people were not getting along in the office. I would go home at the end of the day and I would say to myself, I can't do this. Like Mark Zuckerberg or whoever, they must have something I don't have. And and I still have that to this day. That never goes away. But that is a fear, and it is a limitation that we put on ourselves. And it is something that each and every single one of us have to work to break. We have to keep telling ourselves, that is just my brain telling me something I can't do. In actuality, I can do this. And whatever it is that you care about, or whatever it is your purpose is in life, do not give up on it. Keep it front and center and keep pushing for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Taylor. Wait a minute, hey, can you take a picture of me and Kyle? I gotta get my IG popping, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Awesome, thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
Let's hear it again for Kyle, ladies and gentlemen, please.